Hello everyone, welcome to Changdeokgung Palace. I am your guide, Jae Kim. Today, I'm so excited to show you around the most beautiful and best preserved Korean Royal Palace. It is like you will travel back in time to Joseon Dynasty. For your information, Joseon Dynasty was Korea's last Confucian dynasty between 1392 and 1910. She had 5 royal palaces and 27 kings in her capital city here in Seoul. But in 1910, Joseon Dynasty was annexed by Japan officially, then was under the Japanese rule till 1945. The Joseon Dynasty fell though at the time. This palace with a secret garden had all the last royal family members till the 1980s. When it comes to the Korean palaces, the third king named Taejong built this palace in 1405 after the founder of Joseon named Taejo built the original main palace named Gyeongbokgung in 1395. Then 11 successive kings added buildings and pavilions over 270 years. All the Korean kings thought the main palace should be Gyeongbokgung Palace, but the kings who lived in this palace felt much more comfortable thanks to the eco-friendly architecture and the relaxing royal garden named the Secret Garden. So now this palace is the only part of the UNESCO's World Heritage Site out of 5 royal palaces since 1997. So today you will look around some important buildings in the palace, then we'll enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Secret Garden later. Now you are exploring the king's main audience or throne hall named Injeongjeon, which means the hall for the benevolent king's wise rule. Basically, kings held investitures of the new crown prince, royal marriages, royal protocols, and receptions for foreign envoys in this place. The ruling monarch also held morning meetings regularly with all his civil and military officers. Then all his officers used to attend the meeting, showing their loyalty to the king while reporting important matters about state affairs here. Everyone, now you are looking around the royal residences since the 1840s till the 1980s. Well, this building complex consists of 3 main residences, and each residence has its stone terraced garden and relaxing pavilion behind. As you can see, what makes this building complex different from any other places is that most buildings here don't have any multicolored paintwork. The 24th king named Hunjong decided not to paint most buildings in this place for a frugal life while his people were having hard times in the 1840s. Now you can look around various door gratings and window patterns instead. Now everyone, you're going to explore the Secret Garden. Well, the Secret Garden is only available with official guided tours on a timed admission basis for preservation since the 1980s. Now the Secret Garden has 5 tour stops and you will explore some of them. I'll introduce the Secret Garden to you at the next stop. We are going this way. And you are looking around number 10, Buyongji Pond on your travel map, which means the pond for lotus flowers in full bloom. Let's start our story with that 2-story building up there. That was the King's Royal Library and Research Institute since the 18th century. The kings like to visit there with their civil officers to read Chinese Confucian classics, Eastern philosophy, and leadership books to make the country a better place. And the building on your right was a venue for national occasions, including royal banquets, parties, archery championships, as well as civil servant examinations, etc. Meanwhile, the pavilion there was one of the king's favorite summer houses to take in the scenery of the pond, write poems, and get rest. The beauty of the building was that it looked like a lotus petal in full bloom when the king was looking down the building on the high hill. Because of its cross-shaped roof that reminded him of a lotus flower. So its nickname is the Lotus Flower Pavilion. And now you're going to see the next place this way. Now you're exploring number 11, Erenji Pond on your map, which means the pond for a lotus love. Lotuses come into bloom even from dirty or muddy water, so they represent purity in Confucianism. And all the 27 Joseon kings believe that beautiful white and pink lotus flowers represent man of integrity. And the 19th king named Sukjong, who loved the lotuses most, built a pond and a pavilion here, naming the pond and the pavilion for lotus love. It was said that the king liked to write poetry appreciating the lotus flowers in summer there at the pavilion. And the next story for you is that stone gate. That is the only stone gate in the Korean palaces. And Korean kings, Joseon kings, passed in their 40s or 50s on average owing to the heavy workload. So the gate there is hoping that the king would live longer, like the unchanging stone gate itself. And there's a myth that anyone would stay young forever after he or she passes through the gate. So its nickname in Chinese is the Never Old Gate. Now you are at number 12, Yeonggyeongdang Hall, which means the hall for consecutive happy royal occasions. Basically, this place played a role in a theater for royal banquets since the 1820s to the Japanese occupation period. Kings used to invite their diplomats and dignitaries here to show them around what traditional house buildings for the royalty looks like while enjoying a banquet. Well, the original buildings in the 1820s were totally renovated from the renovation project in 1865. And Koreans' ancestors, Joseon people, practiced Confucian virtues. And one of the Confucian rules was that living quarters for a nobleman, noblewoman, maids, and servants, the living quarters are recommended to be separated or divided. So you're at the servants' quarters first. That's why you can see two more entrances. The gate on the right side is to the men's quarters, and the other side is the women's quarters. So now you are going to see the men's quarters this way. Now you're at the men's quarters for the king, princes, and his officers with the king's dignitaries for the royal banquet. The building here played a role in a theater, and you can imagine there was a big stage on the front yard here. So court dancers and musicians were performing on the stage, and the king and his VIPs were all in there. So they were watching the performances this way. Now you're at number 13, Changdeokgung Pavilion on your travel map, which means the main pavilion for the king's moral qualities to cultivate. This area has been landscaped over a few hundred years, so it has one of the oldest pavilions since the 1640s, as well as the youngest buildings since the 1890s. By the way, what makes this pavilion different from any other building is that the building only has the dragon painting up at the ceiling when you come closer and look at the ceiling. Dragons are the symbol of the royal authority in Joseon era. So kings like to decorate their palace buildings such as audience or throne halls, king's offices and official sleeping quarters with the dragons and phoenixes patterns because they thought dragons and phoenixes are the most powerful and auspicious creatures ever. We tour guides were told that kings used to invite winners from the civil servant examinations here to give them lectures. And now you can look around other buildings. Now you're at the last stop of the secret garden. Here, it's number 13, Ongnyucheon stream on your map, which means the crystal clear stream area. You're in the middle of the garden, and this place is the deepest stop in the garden. So kings like to visit here to take a stroll alone for their zen. And they also used to play recreational games with a few of their civil officers. The most clean water from the mountain was flowing to this place, and the 16th king named Injo built that U-shaped groove on the rock in 1636 to make the water flow around it and would drop like a small waterfall to add more beauty to this place. We haven't found exact historical records, but It was said that the king and a few of his civil officers used to put their rice wine bowls on the waterway and they sat on the rock. And they were improvising a short poem to appreciate the beauty of nature here. Until when their rice wine bowls would drop at a point. So that was their way of loving the arts and appreciating nature in Joseon era. Today, you have looked around a lot of palace buildings, pavilions with trees in the palace and in the secret garden. It was very, very nice meeting you all. And I'm sure your country also has beautiful places, rich history, and heavenly food like South Korea. Thank you so much and have a good day. Thank you.